This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Patriots take care of business tonight. Thursday night on the road, take down the Falcons 25-0 to improve to 7-4 on the year. 5-0 on the road, still undefeated. Road Dogs, a kind of a strange game, but Patriots took care of business, did what they had to do, beat the team that they were a better team then, and this is what you got to do if you want to be a playoff team, kind of like we talked about. If you're the real deal, you got to take care of business in games like this, and they did that. Kind of strange, like I said, but they got the win, and that's all that counts. So I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's going good. It's just a classic Patriots game, in my opinion, where they dominated on the defensive side of the ball, and, you know, the offense did good things here and there. They were a little sluggish compared to what we've experienced, as New England's averaged, you know, over 30 points in the last 2 or 3 games. But this is just, you know, what you expect when you go into a Thursday night game on a short week with a Bill Belichick coach team. Just nothing going. They had 165 passing yards, 125 passing yards, 40 rushing yards, 165 total yards. The 4 turnovers. I mean, 2 of them coming late in the game when it didn't matter. But still, the defense they were incredible tonight. The pressure that we were able to get on Matt Ryan was definitely taking a toll on him. You could tell that he was having a hard time and constantly having to get on the ground, even when we didn't get sacks on him. So it was a great game. I was, you know, pumped to see this defense play like that, you know, and it shows that when our offense doesn't play up to par, that our defense can, you know, I wouldn't call this a bailout by the defense, but our defense is capable of bailing us out. And this is, you know, just a classic game showing how New England does that. So I was very impressed with our defense today.
Yeah, extremely just Patriot-like game where on a Thursday night, short week, they didn't do anything too flashy, anything too crazy. They just did what they needed to do to win the football game. This defense played lights out like they should against an offense that was missing so many pieces like the Falcons were, but it's still the NFL. People still make plays, and to shut out a team, this I think they said was the Falcons' first home shutout since 1988, I think. So this doesn't happen often. You don't often shut out an NFL team from start to finish of the game, and this defense did a heck of a job. Game plan was good. Even when they gave up kind of some chunk yards and they gave up some long-ish drives, they made plays when it counted. A couple 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 stop back-to-back to get the turnover on downs, and then they ended up getting a sack on Matt Ryan to hold them to a field goal, but then Atlanta did Atlanta things and got a penalty and then missed the field goal after that. So defense did a good job. Offense was up and down throughout the game, but I don't think they really were looking to do anything too crazy. I think they were just doing enough to get the job done. It was a short week of preparation, get the win, 10 days rest, and then you got a really tough stretch coming up with Tennessee, Buffalo, bye week, Indianapolis, and then Buffalo again. So I think they're going to save more of their flashy plays and their game plan specific stuff to the Titans and Bills the next couple weeks.
Yeah, 10 days rest right here is going to be big, and you didn't have to show too much, and it wasn't crazy tight in the later half of the game where you had to show a lot of things like you mentioned. So Patriots just kind of had their way. They had 134 rushing yards, 4.5 yards per carry on 30 attempts. I think it was their 7th straight game with over 120 rushing yards. I think I saw that stat pop up. So they're chewing up time. You know, it was a great dose of both Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris. I think Ramondre Stevenson had 12 carries for 69 yards. Damien Harris 10 for 56 yards. So steady dose of both of those guys, and I think that's how it's going to be throughout the rest of the year. You know, Ramondre Stevenson has definitely earned a role, and maybe Damien Harris next week, once he's fully back from a concussion, has a full week of practice and stuff. He continues to get more carries than Stevenson did, but this is going to be a running back committee right here with these two guys, and I'm excited for it. Ramondre Stevenson showed some great cuts today. That one run that he got called back because of the David Andrews hold, where he was dead into the tracks, made a guy miss, cut back across the field, got down to the 10. I mean, it just shows his elusiveness, and he still can run hard too. So, rushing attack was everything that we thought it was going to be, and Mack Jones started off hot. The interception was kind of, he had to kill Harry open. If you watch it back, he had to kill Harry open. They were trying to pick on AJ Terrell, and AJ Terrell made a great play on the ball and on Johnny Smith right there. So give him props. But the one knock I would have on the offense today is penalties, holdings and stuff. Johnny Smith got one. David Andrews got one that brought a couple plays back. It's going to happen. So it's nitpicky. And then I think this is the first game in the last couple games where Mack Jones has been under pressure a lot more than what I had seen. The offensive line had been pretty good, but Atlanta found good ways to get pressure on him, and Mack Jones got sacked 3 times and looked confused on a couple, not going to lie. And, I think we're all caught up at how great Mack Jones has been, but he still is a rookie, and you still saw today at times where he didn't flip the protection or he wasn't getting the ball out quick enough to the open guys on 3-step drops, and he took a couple sacks or unnecessary hits. But it's growing pains, and luckily we still won the game 25-0 with these growing pains going on. So it not much to nitpick on, but obviously there's always going to be some things.
Yeah, well, I will say the rushing game wasn't everything I expected. My hot take was the 200 yards. They didn't hit that, unfortunately. So, but no, overall, between Ramondre and Damien Harris, they averaged 5.7 per carry. Both those guys did solid tonight. I thought Ramondre, I think he continues to show flashes of excellence. And this being his rookie year, most rookie running backs don't have much of a role for a Bill Belichick team and Josh McDaniels offense. But this kid has proved that he deserves a spot on the field. Had 12 carries compared to Damien Harris's 10. And I mean, Ramondre at some points the game looked better than Harris, but Harris has also looked just as good. So it's tough. I mean, we got 2 running backs who I feel pretty confident they can get 5 yards per carry on any given Sunday, unless it's a really, really good rushing defense, obviously. But we got two talented backs, and you can't really go wrong with handing it off to either one of them. So that's good news, and they're continuing to do well. Pass protection was kind of an issue. I don't know if this was more on the offensive line or Mack Jones, because it looked like there were a couple free rushers, and that could be Mack setting the protection wrong. That could be, like we saw in one of them, Trent Brown was supposed to slide a little further to the right and take on that guy, and the communication between him and Shaq Mason wasn't great. So, I mean, it's Trent's second game back, still getting into the swing of things. Mack Jones maybe set the protection wrong. We don't really know the details on that, who that was on, but overall there was a couple issues with that. And it was a couple big plays too. It was key situations. Those penalties and those sacks were really drive killers. And a couple times they were driving down the field, looked like they'd get a touchdown or at least a field goal, and then it kind of knocked them back. And it's tough. You hate to see that. And overall, they got the win. That's really what counts. It's a Thursday night game. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just got to get the win and go home with the W. And 7-4 now. A couple tough games coming up. They got a little mini bye, I guess you'd say, 3 extra days of rest than usual. So it's gonna be nice for this team to be be able to get a little bit of extra rest and try to get healthy.
Yeah, you talked about it. A couple of those sacks came in key situations. New England was only 4 for 12 on third downs today, not nearly what we're used to seeing these past couple of weeks, 33%. You'd like to see that closer to the 50, 45, 50, 55, 60. You know, that's like a good game. Obviously, you get 65, 70. That's a great game right there. So a little bit low on third downs, but we held Atlanta to 2 for 11 on third downs. And then the big stat for me here, holding Atlanta 0 for 2 in the red zone, obviously missed field goal. Was one time when they got pushed back out, and then the fourth down stop and the interception were big. Those are the only 3 possessions they crossed the 50-yard line. They're in our territory. And, you know, you said it, bend not break mentality, right? They got a couple big plays. New England steps up, makes some plays to push them back. And then New England was 1 for 3 touchdowns in the red zone, obviously hitting Nelson Aguilar, and then Nick Folk hit 2 of his 4 field goals while we're in the red zone. So you'd like to see that a little bit more. You'd like to see that being 2 for 3 instead of 1 for 3, but you know, defense played so well, you didn't need it to be like that. But you got to start practicing and honing in on those things and making them a big point, especially with Tennessee, Buffalo, Indianapolis coming up on the schedule.
Yeah, those mistakes and kind of things here and there. When you face these tougher teams, it's not going to slide. So trying to keep the good red zone defense and the bend not break mentality is going to be huge for these teams that can score the ball. Buffalo, obviously one of the best scoring offenses in the league. They can put up points on most anybody. Their defense has also been much better than expected, at least better than I expected. So, yeah, you're going to have to keep having success in the red zone and bend, don't break. And that's what's made this defense, I'd say, elite this year is that, yeah, they let up drives sometimes. They let up long drives. But in the end, if you're holding them to 3 points instead of 7, that's huge, especially with a rookie quarterback and an offense that wasn't clicking earlier in the year. Now the offense is clicking, and I think it's because this defense is doing their job as well. And when you play complementary football, you kind of feed off each other, and you trust that if the defense is on the field, you trust the defense is going to get a stop and hold them to 3 points. And when the defense gets off the field, they trust the offense is going to put up a drive. So it's good to see this team playing complementary football tonight. It was a little bit different, but I think this game isn't something we should analyze too much just because Thursday night short week against a team that was missing some pieces. I don't think they had to bring out the kitchen sink and throw everything they had at the Falcons to win this football game. I think they did just enough and tried to keep everybody healthy and just get out of there with a win and head back home to Foxborough.
Yeah. Cooper asked, can this offense become explosive or will they simply stay efficient and rely on great defensive play to win games? I think this is kind of a loaded question because we've seen more games than not where New England relies on their defense, even though they've played decent offense. But in the last 3, New England's third in points per game, just under 33. They're at 32 points per game. And, you know, this is kind of an oddball right here where, like you mentioned, short week, tough circumstances, flying to Atlanta, guys coming off of the injury report and stuff. But I don't think this team, and there's talks going out there, you know, there's been talk shows, ESPN, Fox Sports, you know, Stephen A. Smith, Dan Orlovsky, guys like that are saying, like, is this the most explosive team in the AFC? And I don't think that we are the most explosive team in the AFC, but I definitely think that we have the capability to be a top 2 offensive or explosive team in the AFC. I don't think that we have to be relying on our defense. That just is a perk because we have the greatest coach of all time in Bill Belichick and a defense that is stellar. And I'm still a firm believer that defense wins championships, even though the offenses have started to take over. You don't see many teams still win a Super Bowl without having a semi-competent defense. Tampa Bay had a great defense. The Patriots have had great defenses when they won it in the past. You know, the Chiefs even had a decent defense the year they won it. It was a little bit, it wasn't like the Niners, but they were able to, you know, get there and do enough, right, when their offense is like that. So I definitely think that this defense is what's going to carry us more than our offense. Like if we have to rely, if we had a defense that was giving up 30 points a game, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think our offense can continually score 30 points a game. But with how well our defense is doing, New England's going to be explosive in games, especially with Josh McDaniels calling plays and the way Mack Jones is developing and the weapons we have, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Mondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, you know, the 3 receivers. I think that this offense can definitely have their explosive games and not have to rely on the defense. But I'm excited to see how this team continues to progress. I think that we saw the 2 ends of the spectrum from last week to this week, right? We saw 45 points against a great defense in Cleveland. And then now you come in on a short week and you see a little bit lackluster performance where we felt like as fans that they could have done better. But now you see the defense just dominating like they should against a Falcons team that was shorthanded. So you're seeing the Patriots be able to win both ways. And I think that that's a great thing as a Patriots fan.
And I think it kind of depends. I think that's a great question by Cooper there. I think it kind of depends on what you consider an explosive offense. So if you look at this roster and this offense, this is never going to look like the Chiefs offense. That's just not how we like to play football. It's never going to look like Buffalo. They have different weapons and a quarterback that loves to sling the ball down the field, escape the pocket, big plays. That's not how this offense is made. I don't think that's how they want this offense to look. The fact of the matter is it's so game plan specific that from week to week, it's going to be different depending on what the defense is showing you and what the game plan is. So this team is very versatile to where we can run the football for 150 yards in a game, or we can pass it for 300, 350, whatever, and have a balance there. Whatever this team wants to do on a week-to-week basis, they're going to have success with what they think they should do. So if you look at the past 4 games per PFF, Mack Jones is 5th in yards per attempt. So doesn't necessarily mean explosive 20, 30-yard plays, but 4th in big-time throws. Just overall, his yards per attempt is getting up there with some of the more explosive quarterbacks, you'd say. So I don't think this offense ever has to be super explosive. I don't think it's ever going to be what most people would describe explosive, but this offense is doing enough to win football games, and on a week-to-week basis, if they think there's a flaw in the defense that they can expose with Hunter Henry or Nelson Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne, even if they're not throwing a 60-yard, 70-yard bomb to Nelson Aguilar over the top, they can still get 20, 30-yard gains with Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry and Jacoby Myers, these other guys. So I don't think this offense is ever going to consistently try to hit big plays like 60-yarders or 50-yarders to Nelson Aguilar, but they'll take the shots when they're there. And if the defense isn't giving it to them, they'll hit 15, 20-yard passes all day long and death by 1,000 paper cuts. So they're going to do whatever they have to do on a game plan week-to-week basis for whatever the opponent gives you.
Yeah, the thing that you brought up there, what type of explosion are Patriots fans looking for? Buffalo, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, they're top 5 in the league in passing attempts per game. 42.5 for Kansas City, 42.7 for Tampa Bay. Buffalo's at 38.9, so pretty much 39. New England's 22nd in the league at 33 passing attempts per game. But then you flip that and you go to, how many rushing per attempts are we having in a game? New England's top 10 at 28 in a game. And then now you go to the bottom. Tampa Bay has the second least amount of rushing attempts per game at 21. Kansas City's at 24. Buffalo's at 26. So there's a balance in our offense, and it's different. Yeah, I mean, you saw today, we didn't need to throw deep bombs to Nelson Aguilar for him to get touchdowns. You throw it 6 yards past the line of scrimmage, you let him run in for the touchdown. You let your playmakers do it. You saw Jonnu Smith, pretty early catch a little short pass and get 17 yards out of it. So it's a different type of explosion, and I think that it's dangerous because you have seen the Chiefs be susceptible to good game plans. You've seen teams sitting in cover 2 shells more and more against the Chiefs. You've seen it against the Bills too, where teams are sitting in cover 2 and they're saying, hey, we want you to throw the short passes because you're not very effective at it, and we want you to run the ball. We're going to, put 5-6 guys in the box and give you a favorable run formation so that hopefully you do run it, and they can't do it effectively. This New England team, you put 6 people in the box, they're going to go for 200 yards like you predicted they would today, even though they didn't. You can't do that against this New England team. So it's a different type of explosive offense than what, everyone wants to say the most explosive in the NFL. But I definitely think that they are explosive, especially with Josh McDaniels calling plays, with his creativity and the things that Mack Jones is going to continue to do and progress to be doing. I think that this is going to be a very creative offense and explosive in its own way.
And I think that's a good point about the Chiefs. I was just going to bring that up as well. Explosive offenses aren't always the best thing. It depends what your team's strengths are. So, for example, the Chiefs this year, their defense is not good. They're obviously struggling pretty heavily, maybe a little better the past game or two, but the Chiefs defense is not good. So the Chiefs offense kind of relies on scoring a lot of points and having big plays, explosive plays, all that stuff. But an explosive offense sometimes leads to a risky offense. And if you're throwing the ball deep down the field, that's a riskier throw than a 10, 15-yard throw that's a lot easier to make, and that's has a lot higher percentage of completing. So this Patriots team has a good defense and doesn't need to take those risks necessarily. So they can live with the 15, 20-yard explosive plays compared to the 50-yard explosive plays that hit once every 5 times or once every 4 times, depending on who you have out there and who's throwing the ball. But the Chiefs and the Patriots play 2 completely different ways, and that's because the strengths of their teams. This Patriots defense can put the team on his back for a game, and if Mack Jones doesn't make any mistakes, takes what's given to him, and even if we don't have any explosive plays and we run the football well, protect Mack, get the ball out and do what we need to do, this team can win football games. So you don't have to throw for 4 or 5 explosive plays a game. You can hit the 10 to 20 yarders in there all day long and get what the defense is taking, or get what the defense is giving you. So this is how this team needs to play right now, and they're playing exactly like that. So explosive isn't always better. Obviously, it's exciting. Football, big plays, that's what you want to see, but it's not always out there, and sometimes it's riskier.
Yeah, and we're talking about last 3 games and explosive offense. The Patriots' average margin of victory their last 3 games, 19.5 points per game, and that's against Cleveland, that's against Carolina. That wasn't against the Falcons, so then go to what it would have been the Jets right before then. Yep. So Jets, Panthers, Browns, we're that's best in the league. And if you go to the whole season, there's only 2 teams above us that have an average or a better average points or margin of victory. Buffalo, and I don't think Buffalo's schedule has been nearly as tough as New England's. They lose to Jacksonville a couple weeks ago, but they blow out the Texans, they blow out the Dolphins. They played a Washington defense that everyone thought was going to be good, but has struggled. They beat the Chiefs by 18. They played the Dolphins again, so they've played the Dolphins twice. They've beaten the Jets, which we've beaten the Jets too. But you talk about the other teams too in that category. Dallas, they're averaging 0.1 points more than us, average margin of victory per game. They're at 9.9. We're at 9.8. We're tied with Arizona at 9.8. Margin of victory in the whole season. That's not just last 3. That's the whole season. So you talk about explosive offense, it's there in the stats, especially in the last 3 games. This offense is coming into mold, and they can be very, very, very explosive at times.
Yeah, I mean, this offense has been explosive enough to put up 45-plus points on 2 different teams so far the past few weeks. So explosive doesn't need to mean a 40, 50, 60-yard bomb. Explosive can mean 15-plus, 20-plus yard gains, even if it's run after the catch, even if you throw it 10 yards down the field and they get 15 yards after the catch. It's just this offense doesn't need to do anything too flashy. Obviously, a big play would be nice here and there, but this offense is just being methodical, driving down the field, taking what the defense gives them, handing the ball off, getting 5-10 yards on certain carries, and just doing what they need to do. So they're playing good football right now. Tonight wasn't the prettiest game, but it didn't need to be. All that mattered, coming out with the win, improving to 7-4, getting to this 10-day rest period, and then going back home to play the Titans.
For sure. Well, let's get into the QB battle right here. Mack Jones. This is incredible. 85% completion percentage. That's nuts. That's what he threw in the national championship. The last time he was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, when he was a Alabama Crimson Tide, they were playing in the national championship. He had 85% completion percentage, also 400 plus yards, 5 touchdowns. So I wish his numbers would have been like that, but something about that stadium. But 85% completion percentage in the NFL, that is tough to do, especially for a rookie. And yes, Atlanta has had their struggles in the secondary, injuries and other things, but that's impressive by any quarterback. And then Matt Ryan, 19 for 28, right under 68% completion percentage, 152 yards, the 2 interceptions being big for him. But this is a classic, Mack Jones game right here, I think too, that we've seen so far. And we're waiting for him to have that big, his first 400 yard game where he throws for a lot of yards. But I don't really think that that's him. He's very effective at taking what the defense gives him. He's very effective at reading the defense. You even saw, multiple plays. There was a great touch pass to Hunter Henry over a linebacker, before a safety. So you see him taking shots down the field. You see him taking what defenses give him. It was a great game by Mack Jones, except for the interception, which I still think was more of it was a 50-50. It was a good play by AJ Terrell, and it was a bad read. So,
Jonnu kind of got bodied by a corner. I mean, Terrell jumped in the air and moved Jonnu off the ball by like 3 feet. He just bounced off the corner, and it's just like, he's giving you opportunity to make a play. Obviously, wasn't the best read when you go back and look at the film, but he's even Jonnu on Terrell, tight end on corner. You hope the bigger guy goes up there and gets it, but he kind of got pushed off the ball, which is not great to see, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but Mack Jones playing great, not hurting the team by any means. That's what he's been doing best in this 5-game win streak. And even before then, he doesn't do many things to make the Patriots be in situations to lose games. And so very impressed with him.
Yeah, I thought Mack had a pretty solid night. I obviously didn't think it was the best game. You could tell he was frustrated at certain points. The pick, he was frustrated about a couple third downs, getting sacked. Maybe it was not setting the protection right. Who knows what that was about, but overall, still throwing 80%. And it's not like he's a check down king right now. It's not like he's throwing 20 passes and he only has 2 of them for more than 5 yards. He's throwing the ball down the field a little bit, even if it's not a 20-yard pass. He's throwing it a lot further than people are giving him credit for. If you look at 84%, people probably think, okay, he probably threw 7 screen passes, 10 slant routes that were 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, and that's just not the case. You're looking at him throwing the ball down the field a little bit. There's some comeback routes and stuff like that that's like 10 yards, but overall, he's doing what he needs to do, not hurting the team. I mean, he had that 1 interception, but overall, defense made up for it, won the turnover battle convincingly, obviously, now that towards the end of the game, that kind of got out of hand a little bit. But overall, Mack had a solid game. Anytime you throw that percentage or complete that percentage, that's good in an NFL game. And Matt Ryan, I didn't think he played bad. I honestly feel bad for him. The amount of duress he's under every single game, he has no time in the pocket, just getting pushed straight back right in his face. And especially with the weapons he doesn't have right now, it's tough. So you kind of have to feel for the guy. He still did pretty solid, throwing 67, 68% completion percentage. That's not bad. And he had those 2 picks, but one of them kind of unlucky, got tipped in the air. And then the other one, Pitts just didn't really continue with his route, and McCourty made a diving catch, and that was nice. So I didn't think Ryan played bad. Kind of like we talked about, he wasn't going to make many mistakes, and he really didn't. So overall, he played solid. Mack played a little bit better, I'd say, but nothing crazy on either side.
No, not by any means. And you brought up, Mack's not throwing checkdowns. He's not a checkdown king like everyone wants to say the system is in New England. Last 3 games, average yard per passing attempt, New England's 4th, 8.1. That's above Dallas, Dak Prescott. That's above Arizona. That's above Tampa Bay. And in 2021, so for the whole year, he's averaging 7.7 yards per pass attempt, and that's 10th in the league. So that's above Brady, 7.6. That's above Josh Allen, 7.5. That's above Aaron Rodgers, who's at 7.3. He's not a check down king like everyone wants to make him out to be. So that argument always pisses me off because he has the ability to throw it downfield. But yeah, back to Matt Ryan. I just think that New England, made him uncomfortable early. He felt like he had to get the ball out very quick because the pass rush was honing in on him. New England took advantage of some bad offensive linemen. Jalen Mayfield, I pointed him out. He gave up a sack. It was Godchau's sack, where he kind of just bull rushed him, put him right back into Matt Ryan's lap, and was able to get the sack, and then, other things. And it was a rough night for him. And I do feel bad because I think he's a great guy, and he could have easily have wanted out of Atlanta. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but Atlanta's probably going to move on from him after this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. There were talks about them moving on from him this year, but he's given everything to that Falcons organization, and they've kind of surrounded him with crap ever since the 28-3 Super Bowl victory, and he hasn't really gotten a chance. But he played just what I expected him to be, right? I mean, we talked about, we hit on it in the pregame show. We expected him to play like this. The cards he were dealt, he didn't have enough weapons to beat this good Patriots team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't blame people for, if they watched the first 2-3 games, calling Mack Jones a check down king, because he was taking what the defense gave him. It was his first 3 games as a rookie, and he was checking the ball down a lot, but that's what the defense was giving him. He was playing it safe and trying not to lose us games. And maybe he wasn't, winning any football games for us, but he wasn't losing them either. So that's how he played at the beginning of the year. But if you haven't watched him since then, and you're not still watching 11 weeks into the year now, then you can't really say anything about it, because that's just not the brand of football he's playing right now. If a check down's available and that's the best read, he's going to throw it to him. But if that's not the best read and he's got a guy 15, 20 yards down the field, he's not afraid to sling it. We saw him make another incredible throw to Hunter Henry, and a great catch by Henry as well on a 3rd down. That was a key play. So he makes some really, really amazing throws, and he's not afraid to sling it down the field if somebody's open. People say he might not have the best arm, but his accuracy and his anticipation, and he's just an extremely smart quarterback who knows what to do with the football. So I've still been impressed with him, even if it wasn't his best performance tonight. Still a heck of a performance by a rookie. He's still doing way, way, way better than any other rookie we're seeing right now. So I thought he did solid. What do you think about our job on Pitts tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna jump into the good, bad, and the injured because
Okay.
I'm my first good list, Kyle Duggar.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, not my first, but since this comment was asked, Kyle Duggar, very happy with him. Pitts still got open a couple times and made a couple athletic plays like we knew he would. But for the most part, I thought Kyle Duggar did a fantastic job on him. And Kyle Duggar made some other plays too, where he comes up and he manhandled, I forget who it was. It was one-on-one with him in the flat, and Kyle Duggar, grabs him and throws him backwards, like pretty much wrestles him down to the ground. And he looked like a man amongst men. And that's what he looked like in college when he was at Lenore Ryan. And that's why Bill fell in love with him, because when you're at Division II to get drafted in the NFL, you really do have to stand out and dominate. And I think he dominated out there today against a depleted receiver core for Atlanta, but he finished with 7 tackles, all of them solo tackles, a couple PBUs. He was great on Kyle Pitts, and I might not have thought that he could have held up as well as he did against Pitts, but he's given me more and more confidence that he can be a great cover guy as well as a good run defender.
His coverage ability has really improved, and we kind of touched on that a little bit, but the fact that they put him one-on-one with Kyle Pitts and trusted him, especially I saw it multiple times where he's just, one-on-one, no safety help, nothing, and they're trusting him in coverage with Pitts. That guy's a very tough guy to cover, especially one-on-one. And I thought this was probably Kyle Duggar's best game of the year. He played really well. Even when Pitts got open a little bit, it looked like it was more against zone coverage where there's kind of multiple guys on him. He's finding the soft spot, and then J.C. Jackson hits him and something like that. So I don't think Duggar really gave up any big plays. He played really well in the run game. He's always extremely physical, extremely talented. The dude's a physical freak. And anytime he's in the open field one-on-one with somebody, I'm saying, hey, you better get down or slide because you're about to get cracked, because he is just, he's physical. He's going to hit you right in the mouth, and it's not going to feel very good. So I was really impressed with his performance as well tonight. I thought it was probably his best game of the year, just in the passing game, in coverage, shutting down Pitts for the most part, limiting him. And then anytime the ball was swung out wide, he was getting right to the ball and putting a hit on a guy. So I was really impressed with Kyle Duggar's performance as well tonight. The first guy I had was Kyle Van Noy. Past few games, he talked about he's getting healthy now. I don't know if it's from that throat. He had a groin injury. He's kind of been on the injury list all year, but he was all over the place. He looked like vintage Van Noy back a few years ago, and he was with the Boogeyman defense and winning Super Bowls with the Patriots. So he looked really, really good tonight. 5 tackles, 3 assists, 2 sacks, and an interception, pick 6. I don't know what else you can ask from this guy. He made some really, really great football plays, and that one of those early on ones where he had the sack on Matt Ryan, and he threw that running back to the side that was trying to go out in the flat, pushed him over, and the running back fell. So Matt Ryan had no other option to throw the ball. He just had to take the sack. I thought that was a really intelligent play. We saw him do stuff like that in the Super Bowl against the Rams, and I just thought it was peak Kyle Van Noy performance right there, and just smart football, making plays in the running game, getting pressure on Matt Ryan, and just overall making an impact on this defense.
Yeah, I was impressed with Kyle Van Noy. I'm going to throw Dante Hightower in there too and talk about them both, because a couple episodes ago we got asked the question, how do we feel about Van Noy and Hightower? We talked about how they've been a little bit shaky and haven't played at their best football that we've seen them play in a Patriots uniform to start the season. But I feel like after that episode, they've been getting better and better and better. And Hightower today, 4 solo tackles, 7 total tackles. He made a couple physical plays that I was like, whoa, that's Dante Hightower that we know, the enforcer on this defense. It's great to see them playing well again at a high elite level, especially with Jamie Collins going on IR. And once Jamie Collins gets back, it'll only add more versatility and another great weapon to that linebacker room. But the way these 3 linebackers between Van Noy, Hightower, and Bentley are playing right now, it is very physical. It's very downhill. That's why a lot of teams can't run on us, is because these guys are doing a great job, taking on blocks, making plays in the backfield, doing a lot of great things. So yeah, Kyle Van Noy, he'd get my number 1, the goodest. I'll use horrible grammar. I'll say he got the goodest. But yeah, Kyle Van Noy was an animal. Vintage Kyle Van Noy. I loved it in a Patriots uniform, and seems like he's finally getting used to, or finally getting back into the groove that he was when he was here for his first stint.
What you got for your second player?
Hightower. I threw Hightower in there.
Okay, Hightower.
Yeah.
Was that one. Okay.
Yep.
For me, third person I'd say was Judon. I mean, he makes an impact every game, not only rushing the passer, but in the running game. It's hard. He's basically almost every game you can throw him on there on the good list because he's making an impact. And I mean, he's getting pressure on the quarterback consistently. Probably drew a few holding calls, or probably got held a few times, didn't draw any holding calls, but he's a menace. He's always a problem getting pressure on the quarterback, and even in the run game, he's making more of an impact than people realize. So I thought he had another good game tonight.
Yeah. Judon, he could always be on the good list.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's always being there. They must listen to the podcast or something. They definitely do. They're our most frequent listeners, other than you, Pat Scout IG, and maybe Gabe Pats. But third guy for me, staying on the defensive side of the ball, I thought Devon Godchow was great. 3 solo tackles, 1 sack, 2 TFLs, so 1 sack and then another TFL there. I thought that he was an enforcer there, and we've talked so much about Christian Barmore. Maybe he had one of his lighter games tonight, still made a good play in the backfield on the running back where he was unblocked and he showed his explosiveness and quick twitch. But I thought Devon Godchow was one of the best interior defensive tackles for us today, and made a big impact helping us to holding them to only 40 rushing yards and 2.5 yards per carry. So I was impressed with Godchow.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game as well. It was good to see him flash in the pass rush as well, because we haven't really seen that all year. Got his first sack of the year. That was good to see. I didn't think Barmore was bad. I almost put him on the good list. I think every game you see him making plays as well, kind of like Judon. I mean, he's a menace he drew a holding call, had a couple of run stuffs. He's always involved, and it's tough to not put him on the good list most games, because you just think of his situation being a second round pick this year, still a rookie, and he's making this much of an impact where people don't look at him as a rookie, just like Mack Jones right now. So I think he's playing good. I didn't put him on the good list, but I think he had a solid game. Maybe not his best game, but it seems like every game he's being consistent and making plays. So I thought he was pretty good tonight. The other guy I had was Adrian Phillips. I think he's just had a great year overall, and he, just like last year, he had a solid year. It's kind of under the radar. People don't really think of him as much as a great player on this defense, but he's making an impact. Another interception tonight. He had, 2 tackles, 3 assists, and the interception. So he's just does well in coverage, always seems to have a nose for the football, and makes plays when they're given to him. So nice interception he made. That was a really, really nice catch late in the game. So I think he's been great for us this year, and I thought he had a pretty solid game tonight.
Yeah, Adrian Phillips has been awesome. Maybe one of the most improved players on the defense. Maybe Kyle Duggar. We all thought maybe Josh Uche would be that guy, but hasn't really molded into it yet. But Adrian Phillips has been a great pickup, helping out, playing a good hybrid role, kind of that Patrick Chung role. Him and Duggar both are very versatile. And I don't know if I agree here. DMAC had a vintage DMAC game tonight. It was nice to see. I agree. I mean, he could easily go on this good list right here. I don't want to leave him off. I don't think he was great, but it like you said, like this was vintage DMAC, right? Gets an interception, couple great plays in the run game, and doing good things. So I was pleased to see DMAC do that, because we don't know how much longer we're going to get to see him in a Patriots uniform.
Yeah, and that's tough to say, because DMAC's one of my favorite all-time players for the Pats. He's, all-time Patriot. He's the epitome of the Patriot way, and he's such a good dude. So I thought he had a good game tonight as well. You definitely didn't see him make any bad plays. Anytime you see him flash on the screen, it's usually him breaking up a pass, getting an interception, or making a good play or a good tackle. So I thought he had a good game. He was lower on my good list, but he was on there at the end. I did think he had a good performance tonight. Overall, past few weeks, he's been showing up, breaking up some nice passes, and it was good to see him get an interception tonight on that diving catch. That was good to see. He seems to always get those ones that just float in the air forever, and he just runs under it, and not punt interceptions, but that one was a little bit harder than a punt. But it was good to see him get an interception. Another guy I had on there was J.C. Jackson. He didn't necessarily flash in any big ways, but just another game where you don't see him. He doesn't really get targeted a lot. He got that interception, and overall, that's what you want to see from a lockdown corner, especially when they're missing their weapon. So I thought he had a solid game. Maybe not that none of these guys that we're kind of naming now is at the level of Duggar and Van Noy and maybe Hightower, but I think these guys also should be honorable mentions for having solid games.
For sure. Last guy on my good list, Nick Folk.
Yep.
Mr. Consistent.
Even though he missed the extra point, I still had him on mine as well.
He did, but Mr.
He can nail everything as a field goal, but as soon as an extra point, he's missed 4 this year. It doesn't make any sense.
I know it does. It really doesn't. But Nick Folk has been Mr. Consistent, 53-yarder. He even hit the cameraman on that one. Yep. So accurate. So Nick Folk been great, and I think back 2 years ago, before Nick Folk and kind of in between the Gostowski Nick Folk era, it was bad. I was almost to the point where I'm like, don't even put a field goal kicker out there because we couldn't hit water if we fell out of a damn boat that year. Yeah. So it's been very, very good to have Nick Folk the way that he's been playing. But
even when he started for us, he wasn't that great. I was a little bit concerned still, but then he just kind of grew into this player he is right now, and he's been so consistent. Because I mean, when he was on the Bucs, he wasn't good. He had not a great history of being great before he was on the Patriots, but these past 2 years, he's been really, really solid. He's been super consistent. And anytime he's out there on the field, I'm not really nervous. And that's kind of been a blessing as a Patriots fan. We've got Nick Folk, Gostowski, and Adam Vinatieri, 3 guys that don't miss field goals very often. They've been really consistent for us. So that's been great to see. Not something else that you don't got to worry about. And that's big, especially with Patriots teams that have defenses like we do. 3 points means a lot. So if you can make those consistently, that can be the difference in the game.
Yeah, he's awesome. And it's crazy to think we were maybe talking about Quinn Nordine to start the year with the potential he had. And now Nick Folk's, having a great year. But let's get into our bad list. I don't know if you have many, though. I think I kind of already mentioned the one I'd have is third down conversions, 33%, 4 for 12. That would be the only one. The only other thing, maybe 1 for 3 in the red zone. But I mean, you're getting nitpicky here where you won 25-0. You're just looking for things. So I don't want to just throw things on there. But those are a couple things that we already highlighted that come to mind.
My only real one on the bad list was the third down efficiency as well. So that was mine as well. And then this guy's not in the bad category, but I'm going to put him in the meh. Is Jonnu. I don't know. He made that one play once we got the ball in his hands, but overall I didn't think this needed to be the game where he needed to break out or anything because it's the Falcons and this is Thursday night game. Just get the win, and he was kind of banged up. So maybe this is unfair, but I'm just kind of waiting for his breakout game. We signed him first as a tight end, signed him for the 4 years and solid money, and he just hasn't been anything yet. Hopefully his breakout game comes next week against the Titans, his former team, and we can put this to sleep. But I don't know. Hunter Henry's been much, much better of a free agency signing so far. And I was really excited about what Jonnu could be for this team, and he just hasn't been much this year.
Yeah, he's been, I think you hit it on the head, meh, right? That's like been his whole year.
The good, the bad, and the meh.
Yeah, it's a new category. We just added it. But
yeah.
He's been someone that we've all been waiting to break out, and hopefully it comes. Who knows? But his utilization has been down. I have seen a couple, things on how he's not running as many routes as a lot of people expected. But when he does, he's not really making, a ton of great plays. You mentioned that he got tossed out of the club pretty much by a corner, and we all knew that
speaking of tossed out of the club, how about Ramondre like 3 times just stiff arming dudes to the grass?
A couple of his stiff arms, I'm not comparing him to Derrick Henry, but they've been like Derrick Henry-esque, right? Where he's like full on
throwing a dude.
Shoving them. Yeah. Yeah. He's been bouncing some guys out. He's a bouncer. That should be his nickname, the bouncer.
Yeah, Mondre the bouncer.
Yeah. So and then let's get into the injured. I don't remember too many. I think I did see something about Brandon Bolden, maybe with a hip injury. Maybe I was tripping and just seeing things.
I didn't see that, but I could have missed that. The only injury that I saw was early on in the game, Jalen Mills on that diving attempt for a pass breakup, and that was when D-Mac punched the ball out, right?
Yeah,
was that?
Yeah, it was an incomplete pass, anyways.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I thought that Jalen Mills could have intercepted that. I thought he mistimed his jump. I mean, Matt Ryan threw it into a bailing corner, and I'm not going to give him a bad thing, but when he first threw it and I saw how close Jalen Mills was, I was like, oh, that's a pick. And then it just went right over his hands. And luckily D-Mac was there, but yeah.
That would have been a tough play, but Um, oh boy, a fan in the crowd tried coming at Kyle Van Noy, and he fired right back. Kyle Van Noy yelled back to the fan, "I'd be mad too. You go from a 28-3 loss to a 25-0."
That's funny.
Uh,
That's funny.
all right. Any other bads you got on this list? It's just
No.
nitpicky at this point. 25-0 win. Thursday night game. It was weird. You don't gotta have a pretty win. It is what it is. Getting the win, and I mean, who would have thought we'd be at 7-4 after starting 2-4? It's great to see. This team's
the
fun to
5-game
watch.
win streak and 5-0 on the road. There's a lot of impressive things going on in New England, and I mean, you look back at the schedule and you take one of those games against Dallas, Tampa Bay,
Miami,
right? And
any of them.
Yeah, any of those three, and you're sitting at 8-3. You're leading the division right now,
And you're sitting
and
at
you
second
feel
overall.
a lot better about yourself.
If we would have won one of those games, first in the AFC East right now, second overall in the AFC, and if we would go home and win at Tennessee, we'd be first seed in the AFC. With one of those three close losses that we really we could have won all three, ended up losing all three. If we would have just pulled out one of those victories, we'd have a chance to go home against the Titans for the 1 seed in the playoffs. And that's shocking just based off kind of the thoughts early on this year and what this team looked like. So impressive to turn it around like they have so far. And they got a great opportunity to turn this thing around even more. And a couple things go right. If they beat the Titans and the Bills, a couple things go right, they could be a 2 seed very, very shortly. And that's exciting to think about. They got to take care of business though. It's not going to be easy. They got a tough road ahead. Tennessee, Bills, bye week, Colts, Bills, and then you finish off the year with the Jags at home and then Miami. So got to take care of business, but they got a great opportunity ahead of themselves, and it's a lot better to be 7-4 than 4-7. And you're playing meaningful football right now against some good football teams, and that's all you can ask for at this time of the year. Thanksgiving, that's when the Patriots want to be playing their best football, and they got a great opportunity to solidify themselves as a playoff team in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and 10 days of rest right here before you play probably your biggest game up to this point, and maybe the biggest game left in the season, except for the Buffalo ones. Obviously, you have Buffalo twice, so I don't want to say the biggest game because those are huge.
Those two are the season right there. Those two games are so big, and they're going to be exciting games to watch and exciting games to talk about because that's gonna really define who this team is and where they're going to end up this year. Is those two games at Buffalo Monday night and back home after the Colts, and it's going to be two big ones. I can't wait to watch those ones. I'm going to be nervous.
Yeah. New England currently has a 79.8% chance of making the playoffs, third highest number in the AFC, behind only the Bills and the Titans. And you get to play 3 of your remaining games are against the Bills and the Titans. So, New England's already making headlines. There's already people talking about them after the game against Cleveland. Now they're going to be talking about the defense. There's a lot of buzz going around New England, but you're going to get 10 days of rest. You can't let that get to your head, and you're going to have a huge game against Tennessee that could put you in the driver's seat for the rest of the season and put you in a great spot to win our division that a lot of people did not even have us close to winning it. So I'm excited to see
us third. A lot of people are behind the Dolphins this year, third in the division. We're already at our win total for last year, and it's 11 weeks into the season. So that's exciting. It's progress. You got a rookie quarterback, and it looks like the future's bright. And it's great. It's a great feeling after the year we went through last year. One down year to turn it around this quickly is impressive, and Belichick's awesome. Mack Jones is great. The draft, we got some young talent. It's an exciting team to watch right now. We might have moved up to 5th, I think, after this game. Maybe.
I'm sure we did.
7-4 better than 5-3-1.
Oh, it's gotta be.
I would assume so. I possibly moved up to 5th ahead of the Steelers, and then that would be 6 and 7 would be Steelers, Chargers, and they play each other this week. So one of those teams is going to be out. If the Chargers end up winning that one, they move to 6 and 4. Then we'd definitely be the 5 seed, and we got the tiebreaker over the Chargers anyway. So I don't know. We're probably rooting for the Chargers this week, I'd say. I don't think the Steelers are. I think they're more of a fake team than a playoff team right now, but that defense is legit. So we'll see where they end up. But exciting. We got meaningful football right now, and that's all we can ask for.
Yep. Well, we will be back. We'll take a little break. Obviously, no show Sunday since the Patriots don't play, so enjoy all those games. We'll be back on Wednesday of next week to preview the big game against the Titans, and we'll have some stuff whipped up for you. Hopefully, we have extra time to look over Game Pass. We'll have some game clips from today, maybe some stuff from on the Titans, how to stop them. But I'm excited to get into this week. Now, this is the most excited I've been in the last couple of years to watch Patriots football. They're rolling, they're playing meaningful games, and they're playing meaningful teams too. It's not like you're playing a game against, like, this game meant a lot, right? You didn't want it to be a trap game, but now you have a chance to go out, play the best team in the AFC record wise. And they're missing Derrick Henry, but a team that is in the driver's seat to get the 1 seed at 8-2, could be 9-2, and we play them, and you get them on your home turf in November. So I'm excited as heck for that game. Can't wait for it to come. 10 days can't come fast enough.
And if you want any chance at the 1 seed, which is crazy to talk about at this point where we were a few weeks ago, if you want any chance at the 1 seed, you got to beat Tennessee. Their schedule is a cakewalk the rest of the year. This is their toughest game. They really could win every single game the rest of the way through. They got the Jags a couple times. They got I think they got the Texans twice, the Jags once. They got a couple really, really easy games. I don't have the schedule off the top of my head. You looking up right now?
Yeah, I'll pull it up right here. They have us, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Miami.
They play the Texans this week, right?
So
Houston,
Houston, us, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Miami, Houston again. So Houston twice, Jacksonville once, Miami once, and then we're obviously going to be a tough game. Pittsburgh will possess some sort of challenge with that defense, and
that'll probably be a close one where it's a low scoring game that they pull out like they did against the Saints. That's probably how that game will go, if I had to guess. And then San Francisco is another maybe challenge, but I think the toughest game for them is going to probably be versus us, maybe us and the Steelers. I guess the Steelers should give them a run for their money, depending on how that defense plays. But I don't know how long Julio's out. I know he's out this game against us, but next week because he's on IR. Is Jamie Collins? Does he have to miss next week and that's it? Then he's back for Buffalo.
I know he went on IR
before he got put on IR and Trent Brown got activated. That was before the Browns game. So that's one game for the Browns. This is 2. 3 games would be the Titans, right?
Yeah, he should be. And I'm pretty sure that maybe I'm wrong on this, but can't you count a bye week as one of the weeks for IR? Or is it 3 games?
It's 3 games, yeah. But we don't have a bye week until that. We still have Tennessee, then Buffalo, then a bye week. So that'd be like,
so he'll definitely be back by the bye.
Oh yeah,
he'll definitely be back after the bye. The question is for Buffalo.
Yeah, so he would possibly he's eligible to be back for Buffalo, but we don't know what his health wise is. I don't know how serious the injury is. I haven't heard a timeline on that, but usually you don't hear much from the Patriots. So that is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, it's a hangnail, and New England just wanted to give him 3 weeks off before the tough part of our schedule.
Hopefully he does get healthy though, because having him back for Buffalo would be big, especially Josh Allen, a mobile quarterback, and he's made some plays and he's kind of a difference maker when he's out there on the field at certain points. He's kind of an athletic freak as well, so good to have him back. But yeah, kind of a shorter one tonight. Tried to keep it a little bit shorter. It's 12:30 here, getting a little bit late, but good to see the Pats win, improve to 7-4 on the year, take down the Atlanta Falcons, and they got a really tough stretch ahead. But it's going to be fun football to watch, meaningful football past Thanksgiving. That's all we can ask for, and they're fighting for a playoff berth. Hopefully, fighting for the AFC East at this point, and it's going to be exciting to watch. But Jace, you got anything else?
I'm good. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Yeah, we will see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. Come back on Wednesday. Comment. All that good stuff. But thank you guys for watching tonight, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.